Hey y'all, it's Megan. Welcome back to the channel. Glad y'all are here today. So today marks about 16 or 17 days with no measurable rainfall. Y'all saw the other night we got us a little shower, but it's a little dry around here. No rainfall in the future, in the, the foreseeable future right now, and it's supposed to start getting real hot. So we've got some decisions we've got to make as far as animals and what we're gonna do. Me and Andy have talked about it for a couple of days now, and well, y'all just come spend the day with us. So this pasture out here, ain't nothing left of it, but I'm gonna show you here. The net out here won't stay in the ground anymore. It's just gotten way too dry, and it's extremely rocky out here too, but we're gonna have to relocate the chickens. You can see it's fell over there, and it'll fall here in just a second with Andy touching it. I fought this thing for 20 minutes yesterday.
Yeah, so like, this used to be a patch of woods and there was a high knoll right here. And a lot of the ground was cut down in this particular area right here, and underneath of it's nothing but rock.
That's why it's as steep as it is. You couldn't go no deeper.
Well, the original plan was we were gonna cut out of the side of this bank and make one big flat spot to put a building here. Well, once the guy that was doing the clearing for us got in here and started doing his thing, he called me up. He's like, man, he said, unless we get something bigger than what I got in here, he said, we ain't gonna be able to do this because it's just rock underneath this right here. Right there's one of the rocks sticking up that he started to hit, and he could hit that rock and it would just shake the whole ground here. So, there was no hope for it. But anyways, it's not much soil on the ground at all. It's just rock. And when it's dry like it is right now, you can barely get the net in the ground when it's wet out here. But when it's dry like it is now, it's just not possible.
Yep.
Look at this. You'll see what happens. That's what happens when you try to drive it in the ground.
Yep.
We've done straightened that thing 2 or 3 times, and every time you go to drive it in the ground, it happens again.
Like you've heard us say before, we've got kind of a love-hate relationship here with this Premier One netting. While I love that we can move our chickens and that it protects our chickens, especially when it's dry like this, whew, it is some work to get this stuff in the ground.
It is when you got land like we got.
Yep.
And that's why we're moving our chickens to where we're moving them.
That's right. Right now we've bought the chickens from the goat pasture to up in the yard. They've got shade trees here. They're easier to water, and they've still got a little green grass here in the yard that they can peck through, and the net was a little easier to get in the ground. So they're probably going to be here for a while. I'd say a week or two. We would have left them out there longer, but that net, like I said, just wouldn't stay up. So right here's where they'll live for a little bit, right next to the house.
They can stay in here, what, 2 weeks, probably?
Yeah, I'd say so, before they tear it up too bad. There's one of my little Wheaties. So, we've come out to our cows now, and me and Andy have contemplated what we were going to do with our cows, and I'm going to come out here and I'm going to show you why. I know the Lord will send us rain when he feels we need it, and we trust in that, but for right now we got to figure out what to do with these cows. Y'all know we've been rotating them ever since we let them out. It's been working fabulous, but y'all, without rain, grass don't grow without rain,
and it ain't recovering,
and it's hot. So I hope that the camera picks up the brown tint that is across this pasture, which this is where they've been for 2 days. But we went and checked the backside yesterday, and it has not grown any. They've been off of that backside for 2 weeks, and you can still see where they eat the grass. And that's just the nature of the beast, of us not having a huge farm like some of these farmers you see on YouTube and stuff. You know, we don't have just a random back pasture for times such as this. We utilize every spot we've got, so.
We wish we did.
Yeah, wish we did. But sometimes you just gotta do what you gotta do for your animals. So we could lock them back up in that sacrifice pasture and feed them hay. But y'all, I'm just gonna tell you, I wouldn't want to be locked up like that with the flies that kind of gather around that barn there. And with it being hot, they're calling for it to be like 97. And y'all here in June, that is unheard of. Maybe for the end of July and August, we have temperatures that hot, but not this early in the year. And we're not gonna lock them up and do that. You said you was gonna put in a roll of hay though, ain't you?
Yeah, I think I'll set them a roll of hay down here in the woods in the shade. And I mean, they ain't got no grass to eat, and it's not gonna make no difference. If we pull them off of the whole pasture,
it's still not gonna grow.
It's not gonna grow. It's not gonna come out. I mean, you know, within like 2 months' time, it probably would. If we continued on without rain, it may grow some, but grass is just kind of sitting here dormant right now because it's been so long without rain. We're just gonna open up the whole pasture and let them have access to everything. They'll be able to go to the shady spots to get out of the sun and get in the cool. They'll have access to the barn if some of them want to come up here and lay in the barn, because those two horses, they really like staying in the barn for whatever reason. That's where they stay. So we'll leave that open to where they can get in that. You know, they'll be able to go all the way out to the far side down yonder and get in the shady part of it. And I mean, really, that's just the best I think we can do right now.
It's different in the winter when we have them locked up there, because they're not hot. They're not trying to, you know, they're cold, so they're all huddled together anyway.
And they don't have all those flies.
They don't have all them flies. And y'all, we treat for flies. But if you ever been around livestock, it just just happens. It just is what it is, and it just happens.
At this point right here, we're just going to pretty much stop rotating, let them have access to the whole thing, and keep our fingers crossed that at some point in time,
we get some rain again.
Well, there's one gate open.
2 more.
Well, we can probably, yeah, let's open those.
Yeah, I'd open both sides.
I don't want y'all to think this sounds like we're giving up, because we're not. As soon as we can probably go back to getting some rain, and we'll go to rotating again, but give them a quick glimpse of what this looks like. This down here looks better than anything. However, it's still, I don't think it's grown an inch since you pulled them off of it.
You can see how this kind of has a little brown tint to it.
And it ain't just our pasture. Every yard around here, every hay field, everything is brown right
It's
now.
cooked.
It's cooked.
But you can see here, they've been off of this. And I want y'all to see that has not growed any. So like Andy said, the rotating right now, it ain't gonna do us much good, no way. So I just want what's best for the animals, and right now, like I said, this right here is what's best.
Look at that. Ain't growed none. And it's been growing.
Yeah, oh yeah, it's been doing great.
Because y'all know, up until this point, we've had a ton of rain. And while we was getting that ton of rain, man, our grass was looking good, wasn't it? It was looking really good, best it's ever looked.
Which,
look, here they come.
Yeah.
They figured out the gates open. Y'all, and I love this right here. When you turn them loose into the whole pasture and they figure it out,
come on.
they just run. They act like they're free.
And now the good news is that the bull will be leaving here in about a week or so. So that'll be one less mouth that we have to feed.
And at some point, we're going to have to wean them other 2 calves and pull them off of this pasture, but I'm not sure exactly how or where or what we're going to do about that. Look at them. Boy, ain't they happy.
Yep. I love to see cows run.
I do too.
Come this way, babies. Y'all know how to get through here.
It would be awesome if we had more pasture land. But you know what? it's really as dry as it's been. I think we probably could have had another 2 acres or more of pasture land, and we'd still be in the same boat. Because it's just not recovering right now. But y'all, so far, all of our crops that are like in our gardens and our corn up the road here, nothing's really suffering yet. Nothing's growing, but nothing's suffering.
Right.
It's just kind of
Sitting there. There they
waiting
go.
on some rain.
They figured it out.
Oh yeah. Yeah, they got it.
The horses, I'm sure, are still.
Oh yeah, they're up under the barn. I guarantee it.
Yeah.
They ain't gonna come down here. They might venture out this season once it cools off or something. So, in reality, our animals are probably gonna be happier not having to move around. But
they won't have as much to eat.
Yeah, they just ain't gonna have as much to eat, and I'm sure they're gonna go to their favorite spots and they're gonna graze it down even more. But you know what? It just is what it is.
That's right.
That ain't nothing we can do about it. We're keeping them fed. They've got plenty to eat. I'm gonna put hay in here now. And, you know, so it's not like they're starving. Because if they was, if we ever got to the point where we had animals starving, we'd just get rid of them.
That's right.
Because I'm not gonna keep an animal and plainly see it starving and think I'm doing it any good.
Look, here they come running back. They said we're free. You
Hey, look, there goes Quasi.
I see you.
Ty ain't going though.
Nope.
Ty's like, I'm staying up here. Y'all do whatever you want to do.
They just come running back like, you mean that we can go everywhere right now?
It's all y'all's. Do whatever you want. Have fun.
Look, there they go again.
Next thing I want to do is get this right here moved out of the way.
Yeah. So, we ain't said this in a video about our 2 roosters that...
I don't think we have.
Yeah. So, our chickens have been gone 2 or 3 weeks. And I had 2 roosters that nobody wanted. I had way too many roosters, and so I got rid of a few, but I had 2, so we decided just to let them loose, and they don't really scratch like hens anyway, so we really hadn't had that issue.
But yeah, they just kind of do their thing. I tell you though, if you've never had a rooster close to your house, you're definitely going to wake up every morning. There's no chance of that not happening.
It's funny, he knows exactly where our bedroom window
I'm
is.
pretty sure he stands at the bedroom window and crows.
and
does it early.
5 o'clock, 4:30, 5
Yeah,
o'clock.
well, it ain't even daylight yet, and he's out here crowing. And I mean, he ain't just one crow. He just keeps on a crow.
It's kind of a bittersweet moment. We've moved this thing, Lord, I bet 1,000,000 times, full of chickens. And it's finally getting kind of put to rest. I ain't decided what we're gonna do with it yet. But for now, it's getting parked in the edge of the woods. Those of you that may not know, wagons, which is what this is an old hay wagon, they're very hard to maneuver because those front tires turn like they do. But I believe he's got it.
See, I'm proud of that right there. I put that thing exactly where I wanted to put it. And for anybody who's ever pulled a 4-wheel wagon like that steers with the front tires, you know that they don't always go where you want them to go. But that's one thing about hooking it to the front of a tractor or side-by-side or something. It's always easier to steer one of those things with it hooked to the front than it is with the back. But that thing went exactly where I wanted it to go.
Yeah,
like
no, it was perfect.
I probably couldn't do that again if I wanted to. So I think that might be its permanent location for now.
Till we decide what else we're gonna do with it.
Well, I've been thinking about that, and that's a good question. You know, it is a wagon frame, and we could use a hay trailer. So I considered setting the building off. Like, all I have to do is unbolt the actual building part and pick it up and set it off of the frame. And then I would just set the building down somewhere. But I've been considering, like, turning it into a hay wagon or a hay trailer or whatever. The only issue is it's a short wagon, so you know it's not going to be a bigger size wagon, and it's extended out as far as it'll go. So I don't know. I haven't made up my mind what I'm going to do about that yet. And we also considered selling it, but I don't know. I kind of don't want to get rid of my wagon frame. Those things are
hard to come by.
Yeah, they're getting harder and harder to find. So I don't know. But anyways, for now, I think it'll sit right there until this winter maybe. And if I need a project to do this winter, which I'm sure I have plenty, I might pull the building off of it and make us a hay trailer. I'm just not sure about what we're going to do with that yet. What we got to do now?
I want to go out there and cut my cabbage heads and stick them in the refrigerator.
Oh, okay.
Let's go cut all them cabbage heads.
All right.
We're going to walk out here and get the rest of these cabbage heads cut. I really wanted to try to save them till I was able to make my chow, but my peppers are running behind, as y'all know, because I got to eat up there at the start, so they're a little behind. So what I'm going to do is we're just going to go ahead and cut them. I'm going to wrap them up in some tin foil and stick them in the refrigerator. Andy's grandma actually taught me that, and it works pretty well. You may have to pull a few the outer leaves off once you go to use it if it's been in there for a while, but they store pretty well that way. I have tried, I know you see things about storing them in the root cellar and stuff. I have tried that, and they didn't keep well for me, pulling them up by the roots and hanging them up. I think that would be better kept maybe if I did that with the fall crop, but I think it gets a little too warm and humid down there in the summertime. So we gotta pick them though, because the bugs is doing a number on them, ain't they?
Yeah, well, it's time to pick them anyways. They're plenty big enough. So I always just take a pocket knife and fold it back just a little bit and get down in here. Once you start to cut it, if you're pushing down on that head, it'll just break right out.
There you go.
Then we'll go over here, break the leaves off, and feed them to the cows. Where's the cows at? Come on, cows! Come on!
Oh, if they see you throwing something, they will be here.
Come on! I don't leave none of them outside leaves on it, do I?
No.
Do it that way.
I usually start pulling them off till I quit seeing bug holes, what I've been doing.
Okay. Oh boy, look at the slug in there. Look.
Yep. I don't know though, with that one might not be much left if you do that.
That's what I was thinking. The slugs is up in there pretty good. I need to cut that off.
Yeah.
All right, we'll get that in a minute.
Yeah, let's just go ahead and get the rest of them picked, and we'll just bring them over here and set them down, and we'll just sit here and peel them.
Okay. So, speaking of bugs, it reminds me of something. Everybody has been asking, do we use 7 Dust? Y'all, I grew up using 7 Dust. My mama still uses 7 Dust. You can go out to her garden sometimes and it looks like it snowed out there. But I don't really have a big issue with using pesticides or anything like that. Like, I try to do it as well mannered as I can. Like, I'm not just going to go out here and just go crazy spraying the most dangerous pesticide there is just to kill something simple. But 7 Dust is probably the one and only pesticide I don't use, and I will tell you why. Many years ago, so for y'all that don't know, I do landscaping, so I have to have a pesticide and a pesticide license for my work, because we spray all types of herbicides, pesticides, and everything. I mean, it's just part of what I do. And I was, we have to take classes. We have to have 2 hours worth of classes every year. And in those classes, you know, we do education on different pesticides and whatnot and everything. And 7 dust gets brought up every single class I've ever been in. And the reason for that is because, as y'all know, the honeybee population, you know, they say is dwindling down and all that kind of stuff. And a 7 dust is supposedly, I don't know, I'm just going off of what they tell us in the class. 7 dust is part of the reason for that. And what happens with 7 dust is, you know, it's laying there looking like pollen. That's, you know, the bee don't, they say sometimes the bee don't know the difference between 7 dust and the pollen. The bee will load up that 7 dust and take it back to the hive and encapsulate it inside the little, you know, inside the hive, and it'll be stored there. Well, then when the new bees come along and start feeding off that honey it's made, well, they're eating honey that's made out of 7 dust. And so what do you think happens to the new little baby bees that are feeding on that honey? Well, that's the reason I don't use 7 dust, y'all. I know plenty of people who use 7 dust, and you know, whether that's true or not, I don't know. But that's what they teach us in our pesticide classes and stuff. And so, you know, it makes a lot of sense. So that's why I steer away from 7 dust. I would rather use any type of thing in a liquid form because the bee can't actually tote that back to the hive. Now, it could kill the bee that if the bee landed on it, or you spray the bee itself with it or whatever. But the bee can't actually tote that liquid formation back to the hive and kill the hive out. So that's the reason I choose to use any type of liquid pesticides versus 7 dust. So there's your answer for the question. Everybody who wants to know why don't we use 7 dust, or do we use 7 dust, or whatever. It's not that I'm against chemical pesticides. It's just that makes a lot of sense to me. And I feel like, well, you know what? If I can do my part of keeping the bee population from being wiped out, then that's what I'm going to do.
And we have a lot of honeybees.
We do. We have a ton of honeybees around here. They're everywhere. We could probably walk right down through this cucumber row and see bees everywhere. But, you know, that's just my personal opinion on it. I'm not telling you to not use 7 dust. That's just what we were taught about 7 dust, and so that's kind of how I stick with it.
Okay. Might as well, they're coming out anyway. Look at him.
Well, I can't pull that one. They're like, what you bringing us? What are we going to plant back in this bed?
I don't know. Oh, we'll have us a few little cans here.
Oh, this one's got the wormhole in it.
It ain't worth keeping. Just throw it in there.
Is that worth it?
Oh yeah. This thing's got eggs up there.
I said, somebody said soak them in salt water.
Yeah, I may do that before I put these in the fridge. And so I know that you can eat like the outer leaves and stuff of the cabbage, but the animals get enjoyment out of it too, so.
I don't think you'd want to eat these leaves.
Yeah.
They're eat up the bugs too bad.
Here, you want to cut that skin off for me?
Oh, you just primed it before you cut it out. That's what it is. It's like priming a bike and you're priming cabbage.
Go. That's like the
Check out that slug, y'all.
That's the granddaddy of
Uh-oh.
all the slugs.
He's massive. He's fixing to be cow food.
Yep, that is the granddaddy of the slugs right there.
Golly, he's huge.
Boy, the chickens would like that. Y'all would throw him
I
in.
should have. Too late now.
You should.
There they go.
Look at this old white woolly one.
Oh, that thing will sting you. Don't touch him.
I'm not. I'm trying to get him on. Don't knock him on me.
That's it.
You almost did.
Boy, these cows, they having a time now.
Lovey don't care much about cabbage.
Well, we don't care much about anything. Except feed.
Well, feed, and if somebody throws a plastic bag out the window,
Yeah, and he
going
wants to
down the
eat
road,
it.
he'll be out there chewing on something like that. See, he's just playing with it. He's eating it a little bit. Now he does like beans, though.
Does he?
And like them pea shells.
Yeah, he eat those pea shells?
He loved them pea shells. Yeah, Maggie sat out here and fed him every one
By hand.
one by one. That's probably why he ate them.
Can they take it?
Which I've used a lot of, because I made that kraut and all that. Which Chow Chow won't take but like one of them, maybe two of them.
Really? While Megan runs in there and gets us something to put these cabbage heads in, I want to take time to show y'all our sweet corn here. Y'all, I am so excited about this. This is probably the prettiest patch of sweet corn we've had in a while. And it's the earliest we've had. So out on this end, it gets more sun, so it's a little more developed out here. Look at that, man. It's not gonna be long. We're gonna have some corn. And y'all know how we like fresh corn. But you know, that I guess that's the great thing about having it up here in this garden, is we can keep the pest out of it up here, so we actually get to eat it ourselves instead of the coons and the deer eating it. But man, that is the best looking patch of sweet corn that we've had in a very long time, and we planted it early. I guess that's why it's coming in so early. But here we are, middle of June, and I'm gonna say within the next, gosh, maybe within the next week or so, we're gonna have some fresh sweet corn to eat, and I cannot wait. So I typically, for insects on the corn, this first planting we have here, it seems like insects aren't quite as bad, so I don't really ever spray anything for earworms or anything like that. However, on my next crop that I'll grow, I'll come through as soon as it starts tasseling. And when you start seeing this right here, there's a little bug right there. But when you start seeing this right here, I'll come through and spray it with some spinosad and keep those earworms out of the corn, because on that late crop, where it's later in the year like that and the insects are getting pretty bad, you can your ears will get eat up pretty bad if you don't do that. But on the first crop, we can always get by and not spray anything on it.
Let's put these. So I'm gonna go soak them in the sink. I think I will do that.
Okay.
Since the bugs was on so bad.
We got one, a little bitty one. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Well, I kind of thought they'd all fit in there.
9. We got 9 decent little cabbage heads.
Well, that's all right.
And we've already picked several out of it.
Oh yeah,
Give a few away.
I bet we've at least picked 10 out of it.
Yeah.
At least.
So I'd say that they done well over here.
Yeah.
Now we got to figure out what's going to go back in that bed.
Well, the struggle is it's shady.
Yeah.
So.
But that helps out too when it starts getting this hot. Keeps them from cooking.
Unless you planted you some more green beans over there or something.
I don't know. If I plant them down yonder in that other field, I feel like we're going to have enough green beans.
I know. Well, y'all, here's my cabbage. And y'all know, we just show you how life really is around here. I got a sink full of dishes that I got to take care of so I can soak my cabbage. I made some more strawberry jelly yesterday. I've made 30 jelly jars. So that should be plenty, counting my blackberry jelly that I'll make. That should be plenty to get us through. And while I'm in here, I got a couple of zucchini yesterday. I picked them small because the plant was starting to wilt, looked pretty bad. Andy sprayed it, but it's still standing today. We'll see. I was scared it was gonna die, so I just went ahead and picked them. But I gotta get these dishes out of the sink so I can soak my cabbage. So got the dishes cleaned up. It'll be, you know, do dishes for what, 5-10 minutes, something like that. But got the sink empty, so I got my cabbage in here soaking in a little salt water. Since I'm storing the heads whole and I'm not cutting them up or doing anything with them, I'm gonna let them soak for a little bit. Then I'll sit them out on a towel, let them dry, wrap them in tin foil, and stick them in the fridge. Well, while the cabbage is soaking, we thought we'd bring you down here to the creek garden and give you just a real quick update. Since we ain't brought y'all down here in a while.
Yeah, we've actually done quite a bit of work down here lately. We just hadn't recorded any of it. Let's see, we have the green beans over here, ain't it? Yeah, that's the green beans,
Yeah.
purple hull peas, and the October beans. Now, I'm gonna tell you what, these October beans are flat out rocking right now. They look great. And the purple hull peas, I think the very end right here may have...
I think it drowned it.
Yeah, well, back when we was getting all that rain, I think this very end may have drowned it, but everything else looks pretty good. Same for the row of green beans right there. They are a little thin on this end. But one thing I'm most impressed with, most of all, is look at this row of Dixie Lee peas. I just about believe that we probably got like 98% of them that come up that we put in the ground.
Yeah.
And these were the Hoss seeds, which there will be a link in the description for Hoss's website. But these were the Hoss seeds right here, and these are Hoss seeds too. The other two rows over there aren't. These are leftover seeds that we've had from years past. But yeah, this was Hoss seeds and this was Hoss seeds. And my goodness, let's look at them. These are almost too thick.
Yeah, it kind of blows my mind. And I mean, they came up in a hurry.
Another thing to mention is these, none of this since, so these, the pumpkins, the corn, everything that we planted down here in a few videos back has had no rain on it since it was planted. You know, it's just came up on the moisture that's in the soil.
Which down here,
I mean, you can see, yeah, look right there. It's still wet.
Down here holds water, which is bad if it's a lot of rain, but it's good when it's like this.
Yeah, now, don't get me wrong. It wouldn't hurt for us to have a decent shower of rain. Not a monsoon on it, but this right here could use a shower. Especially the upper end, because that's a little more drier up there than it is down here.
But our pumpkins
are looking really good so far. And just about every hill of pumpkins we planted come up.
There was a section down there that didn't come up. I don't remember what kind those were.
I don't either, but there's a whole little section right here that never came up.
Which some of those seeds we planted were old seeds.
And I bet you this probably right here was one pack of seeds.
Yep.
We'd have to go back at the video and maybe
look and
I don't
see.
know if we said in the video what each section was or not.
But it's the whole section, so I bet it was the old seeds that we planted.
Then when you get out here, I know some of these out here on this end was older seeds, and most of them have come up, and look, there's some that's just now coming up.
Oh yeah.
So maybe those up there just hadn't pushed through yet. The corn didn't do it. And I figured it wasn't going to, but it was going to be a fun surprise if it did do it. But, and you know, it's been right at 2 weeks today since it was put in the ground. And as hot as it's been, this stuff should have been up. Like if it was viable seed, it should have been up within a week's time. And I've dug down in there. Let's see if I can find one now to show you. But see, look at the moisture that's down in there. Like, you get up there on some of that upland, you ain't gonna see moisture like that no farther down than I've dug there. I don't see none of the seed. But what, all right, there's one. So it just, you can kind of see it almost like it molded or it's starting to rot. Like it, evidently it was no good. And like I said, I had my suspicions.
Yeah, we didn't have high hopes on it.
I'm not gonna lose any sleep because it didn't come up, but You know, you don't know until you try. So something y'all didn't see on video was we've also planted sweet potatoes down here. These are mostly purple sweet potatoes. From this stick down are purple sweet potatoes. I don't know the variety of them, but we've never ate purple sweet potatoes before. So we're kind of excited to try those. Then from here out is the Beauregards. And you know, they could use a shower of rain on them too. They've perked up a lot.
I was gonna say, I can't believe they've even perked up like they have.
They don't look bad. They actually look better than the ones at the house. But they could use some water. It probably wouldn't be a bad idea for us to come down here with just a little bit of water and
come through there.
Pour by them. But then the popcorn. So this is what we done a lot of work on the other day. We cleaned the popcorn out. And it's, well, you can see how hippity-hoppity it is. What's here is what the crows didn't get. Some of this shorter stuff is what come up.
But most of that didn't come up.
Yeah, from the replant seed, but most of it didn't. Everything that had the bug holes in it, you know, we didn't figure it was going to be any good, but we thought we'd try, and it didn't. Most of that didn't come up. But here's what it would have looked like had the crows not pulled any of it up. Because this has been planted, like the crows never touched that row there and that end of that row. And so all the popcorn should have looked like that right there. But it don't. So we decided to come down here. We spent the other evening down here. It was nice. It was fairly cool. We spent the evening down here and just cleaned the grass out from around it. And if it'll ever rain again, I don't want to cultivate it until it rains. You can see there's already, well, right here's some of the grass we pulled out into the row. And you know, it's starting to take root and come back. I'd really love to come in here with a disc on the farm awl and ridge all this up and hill it up. But I don't want to do it until it rains, because, you know, as soon as we break open that soil again, that will make it dry out faster. So I want to kind of hold what moisture we've got in there. So I'm just going to let it go until we got us a decent chance of rain coming, or until it does rain or something. But I think we might actually get us a little picking off of it.
Yeah, I think so. We kind of almost give up on it, but...
Well, we were down here that day looking at it, and we were just kind of like, yeah, we're just going to let it go, and it'll be what it'll be. And you know, it was, like we said, it was so nice that day, and it was low humidity, and it just felt good. And I was like, yeah, actually, it was Megan's idea. She said, let's tackle that corn. Let's clean it up.
And after we did, we were like, well, maybe it doesn't look quite as bad as we thought it did.
It really didn't. I mean, it still looks bad.
Yeah.
But it looks a lot better than it did once we cleaned it up.
Right.
But I want to go right down the side of probably this outside row of corn here. And I might hit a couple of rows in here. But we've got some Kentucky
Blue Wonders.
Blue Wonders. They're not the, what's the other one we plant? Kentucky Wonders?
Mm-hmm. Okay,
so we have Kentucky Blue Wonders, which are also a pole bean.
Well, they're mixed between Kentucky Wonder and Blue Lakes, I think.
That's it, yeah. And they're a hybrid bean, but we planted them a couple years ago.
Mm-hmm.
We let them run up our corn, and they were a pretty good bean. So I think we've got some of those seeds left from then, and I think I'm going to come through here once this corn gets a little bit bigger, and I'm going to plant me some right down the edge. I'll take that house planter and run it right down beside the corn rows here, and just let them grow up the corn. And the corn will be my trellis. And, you know, since field corn is a good corn to plant beans with, because field corn stays in the field forever, you know, until it's dry. Sweet corn, on the other hand, is not that great of a trellising type corn, because, you know, you're done with sweet corn
pretty
early.
Quick, yeah. And
so your beans don't really have time to do what they're going to do. But yeah, if you've got field corn standing somewhere or another, and I've noticed that with us that it works better to do it on an outside row, because the inside roads end up getting shaded out. So your beans that you might plant on the inside row, now on this, it probably won't be that problem. But if we had a really good stand of corn here, the outside rows is what gets enough sun to actually make beans. The inside rows end up getting too shady.
Where did you get these brandywines from?
They was in those seeds.
Were they?
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so you do got your brandywine. I guess they're brandywines. The leaves look like them anyways.
But anyways, guys, I hope y'all enjoyed today's video. Hope you might have learned a little something. You know, it's just kind of, I guess you'd call it the honeymoon phase right now. And
where we're just sitting
gardening,
back,
we're just kind of like sitting back, enjoying watching stuff grow. It hadn't hit the wide open stage.
Oh yeah, harvest season is starting, but it's not here yet.
Yeah, it's slowly coming in. But give it about a month and I'll be
Sweet corn will be the first thing.
I'll be running around like a chicken with my head cut off.
Cucumbers are fixing to start coming in wide open, and tomatoes will be right behind that.
Yep.
And then we're just going to, well, we're going to have to get potatoes up here before long too.
Yeah, we are. And it's a little early.
It is, but I think this dry weather's really took a toll on the potatoes.
So. But the good thing about getting potatoes up,
And it dries, you don't have mud.
Yeah, ain't no mud cake to them. So.
That's right.
But anyways, guys, till we see y'all on the next one.
Y'all have a good one.
Have a good one.